Hello and welcome to Wellness Influencers, where we bring you the art and science of wellness to discover happier, healthier, and wealthier you. Here is your host, Dr. Kaveh Elahiun.
Good day, our viewers, our listeners. This is Dr. Kaveh Elahiun coming to you guys live again with another fantastic interview with the dragon himself, Dr. Jean-Claude Doornick. We are amazingly happy to have you here. Thank you for devoting some of your time to us. Good day, sir.
Great day to you.
Give us a little breakdown of who you are, what you do, where you are, and all the related information before we start the interview.
Well, I would say where I am is always an interesting question because everything I fight for is structured around the things that matter most to me, and that's my family, and my family lives all over the world. So I made a decision a long time ago that I was going to be a world traveler. So at this current time, I'm at our East Coast residence near New York in a place called Connecticut, where the dragon lives with the chicken. And I am a doctor of chiropractic, and I know that's something that you and I share in commonality. But on a bigger level, I would say I'm a servant. When I was a little kid, I never knew that I was supposed to be a chiropractor or a coach or anything. I just knew that I was supposed to do something great. That's what my mother always told me anyway. And I just found some different tools and systems to execute what it is that I knew that I was born to do. So doctor of chiropractic, practiced for about 16, 17 years in Westchester, high volume, cash practice, saw a lot of people, got bored with just taking care of the community, and knew that there was more out there, bigger vision, and my shoulder hurt a little bit as well. And I just kind of went on this journey, started off becoming a humanitarian, started a worldwide international humanitarian organization, kind of like Médecins Sans Frontières or Doctors Without Borders, but for the natural healing profession, called Chiro Mission. Co-founded that and did a lot of great stuff, third world countries. I was in Haiti and built orphanages and all that. So that was the servant side. But now to bring you to this day right now, I'm somebody that's very passionate about, going after change. And I've identified, and I know we'll get into this, the true cause of most people's problems. So now I own a international health coaching and transformation company that is actually, massive in the US, but is now in Asia. And I work from home so I can spend time with my family and do podcasts like this, which I'm so honored to do with somebody like you. I watch the interviews that you do, and I love them, and I love the content. I love the personal touch that you have and what it is you want to do for people. And I think you got a great smile. You're always smiling.
Thank you so very much. To be honest with you, me and you, we have this thing in common that we thought our mission was bigger than just servicing and serving our community, immediate community. Yeah. I mean, after all, as human, we all are one. Your pain is mine and mine is yours. And once you realize and recognize that, to stop is almost impossible. So now
I've got an interesting thing to add to that. I love what you just said. You said to stop is almost impossible. And this is a problem if you're a servant, because when you serve, sometimes, like not-for-profit is not-for-profit. And when you start serving humanity, you can't stop. You can actually become addicted to it. Martin Luther King, who's on my director in, executive board of my life, I always go to him for help. He talked a lot about the fierce urgency of now. And I think everybody can relate to this, and I know you can. And what that means is that there's certain times in our life. This happened to me with the coaching, the chiropractic, and the mission work. You wake up and there's something that you know you need to do, and it's so important that you can't not do it. That's the fierce urgency of now. Pretty cool, huh?
It is very cool. And you going on missions and me sitting behind this microphone is basically trying to serve the same purpose. Now, before any change can happen at any level, one needs to have the mindset and goal setting. Give us some of the pearls of wisdom you share with your coaching individuals as to what you do and how you go about doing it.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. You know, one of the things that we learn in our profession, if you get into personal growth, self-development, is who you are determines how well what you do works. So let's just say that again. Who you are determines how well what you do works. And another way of saying that is be, do, have. So, you know, I think everybody out there wants the same thing. You know, I would assume that if I, you know, stepped into anybody's bedroom last night, which would be a little creepy if I did that. But if I did and I eavesdropped, everybody last night was praying to be happier, healthier, and wealthier, right? And everything falls into that realm, and I challenge anybody to debate that. So it's not about what we want. We all kind of want the same thing, and we all have different degrees of urgency in what it is that we want the most, which is typically connected to what we need the most. You know, when I was 80 pounds overweight and getting divorced and a workaholic and just depressed, you know, I had my thing that I needed, you know, in life. So let's just start from the standpoint that everybody wants the same thing. So whoever's listening here, you and I are the same. We're just at different phases of readiness and need. So we also understand that we need to do, you know, we ever hear do the work, you know, the personal growth and self-discovery realm. I love it. And I mean, you'll never see me not reading books. You know, I'm reading The Daily Stoic and Sapiens right now, 2 at a time. Love it, because I also know that I need to, you know, work on myself, but I know that I need to do certain things to get what I want. That's the do and the have. But what we see is that if 2 people go do the same things, they get different results. So it's not the do, it's the who. So what you said, mindset, it's really interesting, because I could look at that and just say, yeah, I have to be in the right mindset. If I want to be a millionaire, just like my friend Doug Woods, I have to be in a millionaire mindset, right? If I want to be healthy, I have to have a health conscious mindset, right? So what I would say, I think everybody is right now saying, okay, I know that, right? And just so you know, there's no new information in the world. You already know everything. But hopefully me and my friend here are going to say something that's going to strike you with lightning today. That's our goal. So we all know that stuff, but how do we get in the right mindset, right? Because there's a lot of dragons swooping down at us every day. I can tell you that every day you wake up in the morning, you go from unconscious to conscious, sleep to awake. And there's a very, very fragile moment where your computer boots up in that morning, and all of a sudden you have a choice to either start your day with the right mindset or fall prey to what it is that you probably offered to come with you from yesterday. So easier said than done to get in the right mindset. So here's my tip. The first thing that I would say is that whether it's our patients, our friends, our family, or anybody that's contending and wanting to move forward with anything that they pray for at night, it has to be focused in the beginning of focusing on what you want rather than what you don't have, right? And one of the easiest places to start, and I know that you know this, is a place of gratitude. Gratitude is the super highway to move into the present moment where you can only focus on what you have, not what you have not. So that's the first step. But what I'm saying is look into the future. If you're looking to get physically healthy or wealthy or mentally sound and peaceful and you know, in this serene, joyful moment, I want you to look into that future right now and experience it. I want you to look at it and not only, and listen, I'm not saying fake it till you make it. I'm saying go into that future moment right now and experience it and attach the value that there is to it to the point where you can feel it. You can almost feel it like a kid. If a kid says, I want a dog, he knows what it's like to have that dog. So you go into that future and you feel it and you just simply live in that future. We always say, lead from the future, act in the now. So if you want to have the right mindset, simply start off by knowing exactly where you want to go and make sure that your mindset, your actions, and everything you do are in nothing but support of that, right? So what happens to you, and I'll ask you a question. So you're with me now. if you know what you want and you know what's important, I would assume that when you do this podcast, you're doing it because it supports what you want to create for others.
That's right. That's right.
So if somebody comes in right now and you're in that focused state and challenges that, does that person have any place in your future?
No, not really.
So here's my last question I want everybody to write down. When you look at that future state, what is it about your life today that no longer applies then? That's where you build your mindset.
Wow.
Lightning.
Very nice. Very nice. Wow,
Yeah,
I'm speechless. I can't really say anything because you truly,
stop. We got to stop right now. Drop the mic and stop.
I can't, because you got so many other things to let our listeners and our viewers know. I just can't let you go now. Now, you have a nickname called Dragon.
That's right.
Why?
Well, there's many, this is an interesting story, and maybe, I don't know if Chicken is watching this, but if she's watching it, sweetie, come down and join me. So, okay, first of all, we don't have enough time for the whole story of Dragon, but there's different versions of ourselves, right? And, you know, I don't live in the past. In fact, I've already cut the string from yesterday. I live in the future, and you can tell. I've just come to a place in my life where I know that, you know, when I live 3 for 3, when my thoughts, feelings, and actions are in the right place, I accelerate towards what I want. You got to understand that I'm the kind, my story is I'm blessed up right now only because I know what it's like to be messed up. You know, I spent most of my life in a bad, dark place, and I was guided to the light. So that's why I'm so excited. But I've also identified, you know, the difference between getting from there to here in a rocking chair, which is very hard to get into town in a rocking chair, and in a Ferrari. So what I identified is there's a version of myself that comes out that, I don't know if we're allowed to swear, but kicks butt more than another version, and that's the Dragon. So what's fun about that, and you know, I'm gonna challenge you, whether you can do it right now or we'll do it in private at another time. What is that? How does that show up for you? You know, and the reason why I came up with the word Dragon, it started when I was a kid. There was a Dragon coaster. I lived near this place called Playland. It was an old wooden roller coaster. So it was always Dragon, Dragon, Dragon. And to be honest with you, when I met Chicken, you know, our podcast called Rise Up with Chicken and Dragon. She's a licensed sex therapist and sex coach. She's an amazing person. But anyway, she's Chicken and I'm Dragon. We used to text each other with those emojis. She was a chicken and I was a dragon. But when I think of myself as a dragon, and I'm challenging anybody else to think about what their animal power is, I guess. We're getting a little bit crazy now. I think about what a dragon, when a dragon shows up, everybody gets the hell out of the way, right? And if anybody has a problem, they're going to get like spit fire. Now, I'm not looking to burn anybody, but I just try to bring that version of myself every day. I'm about to publish a book, and there's a whole chapter in it about how to start the day. And that's a process that I do, get in the right mindset. But everybody calls me Dragon because I'm always that guy now. I've just made a decision that I ain't going back. So physically, mentally, financially, I present myself as the best version of me, and that's a dragon. How's that?
That is an awesome explanation.
What animal? I'm thinking about Phoenix or something. My background, I'm Middle Eastern, and Phoenix has a very, very long story in Middle East. And it's this amazing bird, half dragon, half lion, half bird, kind of peacock looking kind of bird. But I love that whole thing that you knew. Nobody knows that about me. Listen to me,
my wife.
Listen, I know that people are watching this, but I want you to know something. This is not happening by mistake right now.
Of course, you know, that's right.
You and I meeting and us doing this podcast right now, and us having a side conversation while people are listening, and me saying Phoenix, just embrace it. Fly, baby.
It is. It definitely is. The other thing is, when it comes to getting to that mindset, one thing that's the fuel, at least it was for me, and I'm sure it was for you, is recognizing that you are here to serve a higher purpose. It's not just for you to wake up in the morning, go to work, come back home, play with your kids, and sleep and have a next day start all over again.
Yeah.
What is it that keeps you on purpose? What is that fire that drives you to make you better so you can spread the word wider?
Well, I mean, when you just asked that question, I just loaded 3 answers. And one of them was what everybody thinks I'm going to say. One of them is what I'm supposed to say, but I'm going to choose the truth. That's what I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't mind.
No.
Because the truth of the matter is that what is most important to me is, more than anything in the world, is that I am considered a good father. And that goes real deep, you know, to my own being raised and my father, his father, and all that stuff. And there's a lot of wounds involved in that. But my mission, my full mission and legacy is to become a fantastic world-class father for my children. Now, everything that I do is always connected to that. So, you know, we talk about the idea of the things that matter most, right? There's not a lot of things that I would die for, but I would die for my children. I would die for those that I love the most. So I would not die for my job. I would not die for my money. I would not die for a lot of things. So it's pretty simple for me to say to you right now, when I get my act together in the morning, and when I, you know, the first thing that I say, first thing I say in the mornings, I say, thank you. I have to remind myself of how lucky I am to wake up with a heartbeat and breath in my lungs. That's the first thing I do, because we forget that. The next thing I do is I put my feet on the, actually the next thing I do is I lean over and I give Chicken a kiss and I tell her I love her. That's important, right? She needs to know that every day. The next thing I do is I put my feet on the ground and I say out loud, I say, how can I help? I always want to put myself in service. And this is something you and I share in common. But believe me that everything I do, especially the times where I'm scared, and I'm scared all the time. You know, if you're not scared, you're not growing. It's always that moment where I'm afraid and I do it anyway. That moment where I don't know how, or don't know if I can, but go anyway and take that leap. It's all connected to my kids, because I would die for my kids, but I never, ever, ever considered would I live for my kids. So now I live for my kids. That's my mindset, man. You know, I don't allow anybody into my life that doesn't support my dreams, and my dreams are connected to my kids. So, you know, I mean, you have kids, right?
Yes, I do. I have 2 boys.
So, you know, what happens if somebody messes with that? The phoenix comes out.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, so what I would say to the listeners, I mean, you know, we were saying before, look at a chiropractic office or any form of portal of entry if somebody wanted to improve their life. That requires a mindset to follow through with it and actually get the results with it. Well, if you're doing something just for you, and this is what I want the listeners to understand, you have a very small chance of succeeding, because you don't always like you, right? And you're carrying a lot of yesterday with you today, and you've been led to believe that you're not good enough, and you struggle. That's why you read all these books. But even when you are at your worst, you are going to do everything for your children or whatever it is that matters most. So connect whatever it is that you want with whatever it is that matters most, and you will thrive. You will always bring out your dragon. The dragon shows up for the kids.
So Dr. JC, what you're saying is, even though you may not want to do it for yourself, you stack it up so high that everything you do is connected to your kids, to your family, that if you let go of your goal, you're letting them down. So ultimately, that's your drive.
Well, I told you the most important thing in the world for me is how my children look at me. You know, what we talk about legacy. I make a lot of money. I help a lot of people. I've done a lot of great things. But in the last 5 minutes of my life, that will mean nothing. In the last 5 minutes of my life, I will, with whatever energy I have, I will look at my kids in a state of approval and say, how did I do? That's all I care about. So if you forget that, you'll get caught up in so many extraneous, mechanical, materialistic things that don't matter. You know, one of the best things that anybody can do in their life is really, really get congruent to understand what matters and what doesn't, right? And also what is in your control and what is not. Anything that doesn't matter and is out of my control is not part of my day.
Wow. Now, when it comes to a higher value, each one of us, you rightly pointed that each one of us have a different things, but ultimately health, wealth, and happiness is three pillars of most of the changes one seeks to do. Now, to build a service-oriented outlook, what is it that you do? What changes one needs to do to make sure that you're serving your purpose?
All right, so let me just clarify what you're saying. What you're saying is how do I like make sure that I'm serving my purpose?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, we're going to need like 10 episodes to talk about how do you figure out what your purpose is, right? And it's very debatable. You know, it's you brought up this topic before about like how you had this compelling feeling that you have a higher purpose. You know what I mean? This is a really interesting conversation, and I'm going to try to stay on track because like half of my book is on this. But the premise is that we want to wake up and just realize, am I a mistake, right? And the idea is say, I don't think I'm a mistake. You know, let me turn off my background. So if I'm not a mistake, that means that I'm here for a reason, right? God put me on this planet, and I hope I have a purpose. And I also start to wonder, what's my purpose? What's my job? Do I have a specific task or a calling or a destiny? And I don't know if we can ever figure that out, you know? So we typically get to this place where we recognize that we have a higher purpose and we have a calling, but it's hard to actually identify what it is. So, you know, that's an interesting thing. And what I would say to people is the universe is very, very interesting how it supports us. The universe is constantly sending us everything that we need, which is funny because everybody that prays every night for stuff, you know, they get it every day with a heartbeat and a breath. And, you know, if we called up God right now and say, hey, God, what do you think about everybody praying? He'd say, Jesus, I give it to him every day. So it's not really about that, but it's just about like acknowledging that the universe is telling us everything that we need to know. We're so caught up in trying to figure out what our purpose is that we sometimes we sometimes miss all of the things that have kind of presented themselves where I think we can find our purpose. So I think there's a lot of value in looking at the great things and the tough things that have happened in your life and starting to redirect your question and say, why did those things happen to me? And redirect that question to, why did they happen for me? Move from 2 to 4. And you can do this as well. This is the most powerful thing I ever did, because I've had some really crappy things happen to me that I sucked my thumb about, and it had to do with family, and I was a victim of circumstance. And oh, it's so great to be able to blame life on your problems. But I started to say, why did that happen for me? And that's when I started to put some puzzles together. This is what my book is about. I started to put puzzle pieces together, and it helped me start to realize, hey, it makes sense why I think the way I do. It makes sense why I'm good at this and not good at that. And I can't tell you exactly where I'm going, but I know it's awesome. But I feel like I'm getting closer to understanding it. And that, I think, is a pretty good place to be.
Well, you're shifting your paradigm and you're shifting your the way you look at anything that happens per se to you, it's happening for you.
Yeah.
So you can basically, instead of being the victim, you become the one that chooses how and where to place that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, life is either happening to you, that's you as a victim, or it's happening for you, and that's you saying, good or bad, bring it, I'm going to use it. But then there's another level that I know you're going to dig, is that life is happening through you. Right? You're a vehicle, you're a conduit, I mean, then you start to wonder, maybe we're all angels, you know what I mean? So now I do want to give a disclaimer, because there's a big flaw in the personal growth, self-development world. And that is that you just need to learn something and have a breakthrough, and that all the answers will come. So this is an important disclaimer. There's two of them. One of them is that there's this concept that motivation and belief in ourselves are required for forward progress. Motivation, confidence, and motivation, willpower, all that, that's a false idea, because most people are trying to get motivated so they go into action. And this is an important piece right here. So what I want to share is that motivation, confidence, willpower, and belief come from action. We actually create that stuff by going into action. So for anybody listening to this and you're having this jacuzzi experience and you're excited, as soon as this podcast ends, you're going to go get smacked in the face and you can be back to your life. Go into action and you'll reap the benefits. But here's the second one. This is the other flaw. Well, there's actually two flaws, but I'll only share two more flaws. It is that knowing something is all you need to achieve without action, right? So people go around knowing something without action. They just know something and nothing happens. It's action. So there was a saying that I heard one time, and this is where my life changed, is that if you want to get a healthy mind, you have to understand this. Only on a healthy body rests a healthy mind. Just grab that for a second. Because everybody's trying to get their minds healthy without taking care of their vessel, right? So only on a healthy body rests a healthy mind. So my whole journey, oh, come here. Yeah, this is Chicken. You should come see.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you? I've been watching this live on Facebook.
Thank you.
So me and this beautiful girl are getting married in Cape Town in December, and we're adopting a little girl. So
beautiful.
Only on a healthy body rests a healthy mind. So when I got my physical body healthy, everything followed suit. Now, if you go to a personal growth seminar and nobody's taking care of themselves. So here's what I learned. Most people are letting their minds run their bodies. Good luck with that. If you start to get physically healthy, you eat right, you exercise, you drink water, and you nourish your body, you have an impact on your mind and your chemistry. So I reversed that because I used to do it in the opposite. So I just wanted to clarify that if somebody's excited about something that they're hearing right now, don't wait any longer. Just take it, go into action, fail a lot, and let the action build the confidence and the belief and change your mindset.
Amazing. Now, for our viewers who, working business, what are some key points in success in being a better businessman, being a better businesswoman, and a better employer or an employee?
Yeah, I mean, it's all, well, I mean, what do we need for a successful business, right? First and foremost, you have to be doing something that you absolutely love, I mean, like watch this. Yeah, God, yeah, I just want to know, how long does Doc have to live? Oh, okay. He says, I'm not telling, right? So let's understand our most valuable asset is time. So if you don't love what you do, I don't care how much money you make, I don't care about that stuff. If you don't love what you do, drop it right now and get the heck out of that and do what it is you used to dream of doing. So that's step one. Love what you do. You will never find success and happiness until you love what you do. The second thing is identify that what success means. You know, if you're trying to become successful, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So if you don't know what success means, like how much money, how much time do you spend making the money? Are you waiting to have the money so that you can spend time with your family? That's not evaluating time. So really identify success, right? Love what you do, identify success, and then understand the most potent, important ingredient in success is failure. So you have to embrace right now that if you truly want to live in this 1% peak of the mountain, this teeny little club of people that truly experience success, you have to understand that they all share something in common. They fail more than you, and they never, ever stop. So everybody's looking for a success formula, but that's the truth. Love what you do and understand what it is that actually creates success. Because if failure is a big part of success, most people that I meet that want to know how to become successful like me, I say, fail more. You need to fail a lot more. And once you embrace that, failure doesn't look like a bad thing anymore. It looks like a step towards where you're going. And for those of you that are really having a crappy time in life right now and feeling like a victim and say, JC, this is all great, but you don't understand my circumstance. I'm really having a rough time. We'll say, God only prunes the branches he wants to see grow, folks. So if you're having a rough time, I'm jealous, right? Because the person that's really struggling has nothing going on. When you're having a rough time, the universe is reminding you that it's aware of you. So embrace that and learn from it.
Now, Dr. JC, one thing that the topic that we discussed, we know that mindset comes first. And in order to have the right mindset, you have to have the right body. So anywhere you want to start, you got to start with the physical being of you. Make
Healthy
yourself
body
feel better.
Leads to a healthy mind, leads to healthy finances. Doesn't work anywhere else.
Now, you being the international speaker and a health coach, what's your path? Where are we going from here? How is this whole future of healthcare looking for all of us?
Love it. So one thing, and I know you and I are health professionals, which who even knows what that means anymore. One of the things that I love is this new view. You know, there's been different eras of medicine, right? You know, there's a reactive model where you wait for problems and then you treat them. We know that doesn't work. What I loved about chiropractic is that it was a proactive approach that said, do something today for a better tomorrow. Like it was up. But then there's another approach that says, let's create a new reality, right? So, because I started to notice that even in a proactive model like chiropractic, I was still treating symptoms and sometimes people didn't follow through. So my new viewpoint is I think it's important, first of all, and this is why I've chosen this path, and this is what it looks like. I think it's important first of all, to acknowledge, what the true cause of disease is. So if I ask a medical doctor, it would be, if I say, how do you determine health? They would say the absence of symptoms, maybe, right? If I asked a chiropractor and I said, what's the cause of disease? A chiropractor would say something like mechanical, structural, or subluxation. And I use both of those terms because I know that we have a diverse audience and I don't want anyone yelling at me, right? but my point is this. All of those things are interesting, but when I peel the onion back even further and I say, but what's the cause of that? What's the cause of that? It always goes back to the same thing, and it always ends up, the true cause of disease is lifestyle and poor habits, right? Because nobody woke up this morning and said, I'm going to get unhealthy today. I'm going to become an alcoholic. I'm going to gain weight and start smoking. Nobody ever decides that. So if you walk up to a smoker, if you walk up to someone in pain, if you walk up to somebody that is struggling with their weight and say, hey, is that good for you? They'll say, of course it isn't. Say, well, why are you doing it then? They'll say, well, sit down, let me explain. And they will explain about their circumstance and their lifestyle. So I made a decision as a servant. I want to make change. I want my kids to be proud of me and all that. I went after the cause. So if you go after the cause and it's lifestyle, people understand that. But I also had to find a portal of entry that people could use as a starting point to change their lifestyle. So I had to find a symptom. And I identified that the number one symptom that is a result of poor lifestyle, in our country at least, in Asia it's different, is obesity, is poor nutrition, and poor habits, smoking, drinking, things like that. Now, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. You know, people are doing those things for the most part unconscious. So I can't go in there and change their lifestyle until I make that situation change. So as a coach, you know, I've trained thousands of people, and we, you know, this is an international thing that we do. We meet people where they're at. I don't tell people how to start. If somebody says, I smoke 2 packs a day and I drink 8 Diet Cokes, I go, it's okay. You can get healthy too. You're allowed to. So I meet people where they're at. And in our country, very often it's a quick fix mentality. And it's, you know, they want to get results quickly. So I came up with a system that handles that. But I find that once somebody awakens a little bit, they give a little bit more of a crap about health than they did then. And I can start to sculpt them like clay. So we have this whole behavioral transformational system that takes somebody from hello to optimal health. But I started to go and recognize, you know, I mean, I started to look and say, okay, here I am, and I can teach anybody how to get healthy, but still 99 billion served at McDonald's, right? So, yeah. You know, maybe I should start selling cheeseburgers to meet people, you know? So we got to meet people where they're at and let them start where they're at. And if you do that, that person will stop smoking and drinking when they're ready because you allowed them to start. I think a lot of people are afraid of health, Doc, and because the portal of entry into it is too hard, too expensive, and scary. So if you meet them on their playground and you play with the toys that they're playing with, you're going to see magic happen. So that's how I've helped so many people now.
Amazing. I mean, health is a ongoing process. It's not just one thing. Okay, I just had my vitamins, now I'm healthy. It's not. It's a lifestyle. It's a compilation of exercise, eating healthy, healthy mind, and basically it kind of piles up. Now, the issue is to eat healthy. It's a little bit more difficult because it just takes a bit more in preparing the food or obtaining it. Yeah. As to, you know, you can just drive any corner in this city or in United States, anywhere, and grab a burger.
Price people look for, yeah.
Now, so do you think the major derivative for a change is a health crisis before?
No.
Or no?
No.
Okay.
We, you know, there's a philosophy that says things have to get so bad before we can start making them good. I mean, I understand that because human beings tend to, you know, come into your office when they, you know, when that guy comes in, you go, how long have you had this? He says, 4 years, I can't feel my leg now. You know, I understand that process. But if we really meet people, they don't want to get that bad. You know what I mean? I believe something wonderful is happening. I believe human beings right now are in this position where they're starting to question authority. They're starting to ask the why question a lot more. Why, like a kid. So I don't think you'll ever meet someone that will agree that they want to almost die before they live, you know? Although we see people live most when they're about to die. So I think that the solution, like I said, is to understand that nobody wants to have a crappy life. Nobody wants to live in fear. Nobody wants to have mental illness. Nobody wants all that stuff. They have it because of their lifestyle. And the reason why our health system is failing is because our health system is waiting for the bodies, mostly. And also our health practitioners are bound by not being able to address what could be something that would prevent them. And that is what I said, meeting them where they're at. You know, like if I have somebody that it could be somebody that's struggling with substance abuse that does it a little bit less every day rather than try to go cold turkey, you know? So anybody can make a change right now today and start the process. When I started my health journey, I was 80 pounds heavier than I am, and I felt incongruent. I felt like a loser. I was depressed. I was getting divorced. Everything was happening at once. right? So naturally, all I could see in the mirror and feel was my weight. So that's where I started. It wasn't to get healthy, it was to get out of crisis mode. So we do need to allow people to start off with a quick fix mentality, but the system needs to be able to guide them once they get results, because the quick fix solution out there doesn't take them any further. That's the problem. You know what it's like when somebody comes in and you do magic for them, as I know you do as a doctor. If they just come in with the idea of getting rid of the acute situation and there's nothing more than just like, yeah, do this and you'll stay that way. Nobody wants to stay. Everybody wants more. So we have to have systems in place to guide people to the next step. I love to ask that to somebody. As soon as they figure out one thing, I say, what's next? What's next? Human beings like to move forward. So I'm from the camp where I think we're in great shape, and I think that we are going to do amazing stuff as a human race. I think we're actually right on track for everything that we desire. Something wonderful is about to happen.
So what basically you're trying to say, as health professionals, we are to give our patients, our practice members, information and empower them in choosing their path and guide them through that path to a better health, when it comes to their mind and body.
Yeah. We get to choose. We get to choose what we want every day.
I know you have a morning routine, and I know you have a specific music that you like for that morning routine. See, I have been watching you. See, before I choose any guest, I generally follow them.
That's like 6 years I've been doing that morning routine every day. Yeah, I that's part of the whole dragon thing. You know what I mean? Like, I have a saying. So I do my own morning routine. I wake up and I take my first breath, like gratitude, put my feet on the ground, have a cup of coffee. And I always start off by, I need to fill my brain up with positivity. I read. In my book, I do a whole chapter on this. So I get my mind in the right place. And that's a service mode, positive, create my own future. And then what I do is I write every day. I journal. I mean, I've got thousands of journal entries and it's turning into a book. But when it comes time to me doing my, what I call Rise Up, which is, podcast and as well as a live that I do. And if anybody goes, they'll see that I've done thousands of them. It's a selfish act. And I want to leave people with this. I always say at the end of my Rise Ups, and I say, and I'll say this right now after this podcast, if you've learned something here today, give it away, and that's how it'll stay. Here's what I mean by that. If you guys are watching this right now, and just even one word that me or the doc said, gotcha, right? Push the share button, share this with your friends on podcast, tag somebody on it, and pass it on, pay it forward. And that's when you take ownership of it. So what a lot of people think is that I'm doing my Rise Ups and my podcast for them. It's for me. It's for me, because if I practice my thoughts and I share them, who owns it? Me, right? And why do I do everything I do? You know the answer. What motivates me? Why do I fight? Why?
It's your drive. It's you.
What am I driven by? What am I driven by?
To be better.
But what's the ultimate? I just want to make sure you heard it. What is my ultimate desire to accomplish in life?
It's connected to your kids.
There it is. So I'm okay with being selfish when it comes to me improving my life because it's for my kids. So
amazing.
If you learn something today, give it away, and that's how it'll stay.
Amazing. Our listeners, our viewers, this is Dr. JC. He's a chiropractor, health coach consultant. He's an international speaker. He's a philanthropist and entrepreneur. I'm honored to have you on. I thank you for coming on. And please give our listeners some of the addresses where they can find you, your website, your Facebook, and your podcast, please.
To be honest with you, if you can't find me, you're dead. I'm just everywhere. You can just go to my Facebook page through this. Our podcast is called Rise Up with Chicken and Dragon. My book's coming out soon. That's all you got to know. I mean, like we're everywhere, YouTube, all that stuff.
Thank you so very much, sir. Hopefully we will get you another perfect time. Have a great day.
Listen, I'm happy that I made a new friend. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.